Hi folks, welcome back to DeCarly Life. Thanks for watching. Today's episode will be about a video that documents the construction of a artist residence, office, and workshop for my son and his domestic partner in southern Colorado. This video will take you through the various planning stages from conceptual preliminary design through construction documents and then through framing construction. Initially, the project was to be a single-story facility, then through numerous revisions, which is typical in any project, whether it be a residence or a multi-story office building. The client will have input throughout the process, and there'll be changes, which is the case at this project as well. So you'll see early on a photo of my son and I in front of his gallery and his domestic partner's gallery on the main drag there in the town. And then you'll see an overall view of the San Luis Valley in southern Colorado, where this project is located. And then we're going to proceed through some series of drawings, which were done actually by his partner's dad, who's also an architect in Colorado. I'm in New York, and we collaborated together coming up with this overall concept, which did evolve through the process. Initially, like I said, it was a single story, then it became a two-story, and went from just a workshop to an office, and then also a partial residence. And it evolved through that process, and you'll see that as depicted in the early preliminary schematic designs. And then there's a couple of CAD 3D shots shown, and then the actual working drawings, which I did. And then there's a working model I built during the process. We were waiting for weather to turn, so I built the working model, which was helpful in doing a takeoff and the estimate for the project. And even the model is not 100% accurate to what was actually built, because once we started construction, we made changes along the way, which again is typical on any construction project. So you'll see some of that in the initial slideshow. This is not a video, moving video of the entire construction process. It is a segment of individual photos which are pieced together in a chronological order that will allow you to see what two people can do with their own forces. We didn't hire any contractors with the exception of the foundation work, which my son had contracted out prior to my arrival there. Since I live in New York, I brought our motorhome out to his property, and I lived there for a month and a half. During that time, and prior to me getting there, was the preparation of the site and the foundation, so that once I arrived, what we did do together is prepare the floor slab for concrete placement. And he has a radiant floor system that he and his partner put in, and with very detailed instructions that were provided by the supplier. And then I did the layout of the rough plumbing, under slab plumbing work, and we had that done. And then the final placement of welded wire mesh and concrete that was contracted out. From there on, it was just my son and I doing all of the work, no other outside contractors. So you can see what two men can do working 12 hours a day for 45 days straight. And it was quite a task for me because I'm twice the age of my son. But while I still had the energy and the time, I wanted to give him this gift. And in return, he gave me the gift of his companionship. And if anything, what this video is about is the most valuable thing and gift you can give to your children is time and quality time. And this certainly was a quality time experience for both of us. We got to know each other as adults versus parent-child. And it was totally enriching for both, like I said. And if you can find time in your life to spend with your children on a one-on-one basis, and grandchildren for that matter, if you have any, it's a very valuable and enriching experience for both your lives, and it's something that will last forever in your soul. So that is the overall message of this. This happens to be the vehicle. It was a construction project, and we learned a tremendous amount of things about each other. and what's important to us, our values, and how we evolved as we grew into adults, both of us, myself included, as I grew into and matured into senior citizen age, and my son as he matured into adulthood. And it was definitely a pleasure. So if you can find some vehicle to enhance your relationship with your children or grandchildren through an act, rather than just sending money or sending a present in the mail. An engaging act like this was, like I said, 45 days together, day and night, every day, and through all kinds of weather conditions and trials and tribulations of getting materials there on site in a very remote location. And this is about 1,000 plus hours of man hours that were put on this project just on site, the two of us. Prior to that, with his partner's dad, he rather contributed a substantial amount of time as well in the planning process, and we each gave 50-50 pretty much as far as financial contribution to the materials. I basically took care of everything out of the ground, and he took care of the cost for in-ground, and it was all my labor. Of course, he's a little bit older than I, so was not able to engage that way. He had some surgery, so he couldn't get involved physically, but I certainly did all the labor with my son and I together, and it was great. I lost a lot of weight doing it, and so from that point of view, it was a great experience, and I taught my son a lot about how to build things that he was not aware of before. And I learned a lot about my son and his level of detail and patience and persistence and tenacity to stick through a project, which we did here. So again, you're going to see this project evolve from framing. And although it seems simplistic, it was not. It was a simple project, but not exactly simple. In that, there was double high space in some of the workshop. It's fairly tall, 16 feet tall. And, two guys had to hoist a bunch of material, very tall and high. The overall height up to the ridge beam was about 35 feet, and we had 32 trusses to install. All the ordering was done by me prior to my arrival there. I worked on it all the winter before in procuring all the materials, both the lumber and the trusses and things like that locally, and making sure everything stood within our budget, which it did. And all the supplies that he could not procure locally, because he lives about 4 hours from the nearest Home Depot and or major retailer where I could get typical hardware, etc. So I brought all that along with me. So I came fully prepared in my motorhome with all the materials and tools necessary to build this project with him, and we procured the lumber and the heavy brute material locally. So again, you'll see this process, and it evolved from this single story into a two-story, and then two-story plus office, then two-story plus office and bathroom, and then a living quarter. And while we were there, what you don't see in the model is a third-level loft, which we decided that was to capture some of that attic space and make it into living space. So that's the third level, which was added on site, and we threw in it's a cathedral space, looks down into the lower level. And it was also we added a skylight in there that was not on the drawings and not in the model as well. But you'll see what a very detailed model looks like, and it's very helpful. And you'll see what detailed drawings look like. And this is a typical process that anyone will go through on any project they would like to consider, whether it be a fancy home or a simple building. But this is the typical process from schematic design, design development, construction documents, and to actual construction. And we were able to pull this off with very little weather impact. There were a couple of days in that part of the country where you do get either severe wind or heavy thunderstorms in the afternoon. So we had a couple of days where that interfered with our operation. But and the other thing was the inspections. There's only one building inspector for the entire town, for the entire county rather, and the county included several hundred square miles. So that's a lot of turf for one guy to cover. So we had to wait one time on the plumbing inspection about 10 days before he showed up, before we could actually pour the slab, which delayed us a little bit. But it all worked out. And we hustled like pretty good out there, like a couple of jackrabbits, and No incidents whatsoever. It was well received by the locals, and we got to the point where it got closed in. We got an overhead door put in. All the sheathing got installed, and started putting on the wrap. At that point, I was able to, turn it over to him, and subsequently he has finished the rest of the interior and all the fine finesse details on the outside, the trim work, etc., windows, on his own. They tried to use, and we tried to use as much reclaimed, recyclable, and or sustainable products as possible. All the lumber was procured out of Colorado and was milled locally, and the trusses were fabricated locally in a neighboring town, and the siding that was ultimately put on the exterior was reclaimed corrugated steel, rusted steel panels. That was a fence around my son's and his partner's other property they have in town, and they dismantled that fence, and it became the exterior siding for the project. It looks absolutely wonderful. I'll show that in some other future video once he's all buttoned up and finished, and we could share with you what the ultimate project looked like. But certainly in context with the neighborhood, and the earthiness and the color tones of the richness of that part of Colorado, and as well as the roof itself was a standing seam metal roof, again in context with the vernacular of the area, and also is very pragmatic as from snow standpoint. Heavy snows that do arrive there, it just sheds right off the roof pretty easily. One other thing we added on there that's not shown on the model is that we add a little bump out on one side, I think it's the west side of the building, that I should say the south side. Let me just think about this, my orientation here. Well, you'll see it. It's just to cover some firewood that he stores there. So that was added, that was not shown, I think, on the model. But everything else it's pretty similar to what the model shows, and the drawings are fairly accurate, with the exception of that third level loft that we didn't plan on, which we did on site. But enjoy the show. You have any questions, you can drop us a line or in the comments. We'll certainly respond to any emails or questions you have, and we can share with you the overall costs. And the framing materials cost around $25,000. But the labor, if we didn't calculate it, but if you consider the man hours, you're talking about $120,000 worth of man hour labor. It was just my son and I, so it's figuring a certain rate times 1,000 plus hours. That's pretty much what a carpenter would make out there. But that was my gift to him, and my time, and the gift from his partner's dad was the interaction with me and getting some of the other things planned, and certainly the financial contribution. This was done together, and both families agreed on how we were going to do this. It worked out really well. So find a way to connect with your children. This is one example that we did, and I'll be doing other things with my daughter, who has different needs and different circumstances. And when her time comes, I'll be there for her to do something as well. It should be as meaningful. And look forward to you commenting if you have any. Please, if you like what you saw here, and you want to subscribe to our channel, we provide a diverse quality and quantity of videos on a variety of subjects, this just being one of them. And we'd appreciate if you subscribe to us, and if you like us, hit the like button. And thanks so much for watching, and enjoy the show. And oh, by the way, at the end, I did make friends with some of the locals. When you hang out in a town for 45 days, a small town of what, 300 people, you got to meet some folks, and I met some real nice folks out there, and you'll see 2 pictures of them at the end. They're real cowboys, real ranchers out there, and it's certainly a welcome departure for me from living in suburban Long Island. And the western rural lifestyle is something to be seen and enjoyed, but you just can't pass through town. You got to be in the town for a while to reap those benefits. So again, thanks folks for watching, and you have a blessed day. Stay safe, stay healthy in this coronavirus. Abide by the mandates and recommendations of the government that you're in, and we hopefully will see you again on the next video. Thanks again. Have a good day.